Now we're on Daf Mem Gimel and Beis. For Rabbanon, my asher techasaba, hi asher techasaba, my ovidle. And what are we going to do with asher techasaba, which is coming to be marbe eksusuma, which according to Rabbi Shimon, but according to Rabbanon, we don't need a riba for eksusuma because even eksus laila is chayiv in tzitzis. Mipoiled chesanya al arba kanfos eksus arba v'lo sholosh. If you have a beggar that only has three corners, it's part of tzitzis. Ata omer arba v'lo sholosh, o ein el arba v'lo chomesh. Maybe when the Torah says al arba ksos kanfos ksuscha, it's excluding a five-cornered beged. Kshu omer shatechasba. Now we use the ribu of shatechasba to be marbe and include in the midst of tzitzis harei malus chamesh amur. So mani mekayim al arba. If arba is not excluding a five-cornered garment, which is included in the chiyuv tzitzis by virtue of the ribuy of ashet chasaba, so what do I do with al arba? And the answer is arba lo sholosh, to exclude a three-cornered garment from the mitzvah of tzitzis mara isa. And why do you take the ribuy and you include five corners, and you take the miut and you exclude three corners? L'rabos balas chamesh lo tzi balas shesh. Marbani balas chamesh yesh bichlal chamesh arba. It's not logical to assume that by adding an extra corner, and you were chayiv already when you had four corners, that now you pot. But motzi ani balas sholos she'en bichlal sholosh arba, because three is not equal to four, so you never had four corners. Rabbi Shimon. Right now, the question is, what does Rabbi Shimon do with the pasuk of Asher Techasaba, which comes to include a blind person? And therefore, how do I know that if you have a five-cornered beged, that you're chayv in tzitzis? And the answer is me Asher. In other words, Rabbi Shimon darshans the word Asher as an extra word, and it's a ribui. Nafka. But Rabbanan Asher lo mashma, they don't darshan Asher. Asher is normal in the Hebrew language. It's part of Hebrew grammar, and therefore it's not. For Rabbanan higher isim also mayov. Did Rabbanan say that Yechayvin sits even at night, and even a beged laila? What are they going to do with Reisim also? They need it for another derivation in a brisa. Reisim also is chartem. Okay. So at this point, the Gemara is going to focus on a juxtaposition of the word uschartem to re'isem oso. Because, let me just see if he, here. It says, Vayolachem letzitzis, urisem oso, uschartem, etc. So what does this zachartem come to teach us? And we're going to have a couple of possibilities. One possibility is re'eh mitzvah zu, when you look and you are aware of the mitzvah of tzitzis, zechar mitzvah acheres hatluya bo. You should remind yourself that it's time for a fulfillment of another mitzvah. The Eza Zu Kriyat Shema. So the law is that if you can tell the difference between Tcheles and Lavan by looking at your tzitzis in the bright early hours of the morning, there's enough light out, and therefore you're chayev in Kriyat Shema. So look at the tzitzis and remind yourself to recite Kriyat Shema. V'snan, Nevasai Korban Shema, B'shachris, Mishiyakim Ben Tcheles Lavan. Tanya Idich. Now we have another a brisa that's again going to darshan the juxtaposition between Yerusa and Mosa Uzchartem, and that is where a mitzvah zu zchar mitzvah cheres hasmucha. Look at the next mitzvah that's mentioned there, because in the context of Gedilim Taselcha it says the Iser of Kelayim, the Eza zu mitzvahs Kelayim, the Sivlo Tilba Shatni Zem Vishn Yachtav Gedilim Taselcha. So what does this mean? So Re'isem Osos Chatem is called Mitzvah Hashem, is telling me Kol Mitzvah, meaning the entire command of Hashem. And therefore the juxtaposition of tzitzis and shatnes is going to teach us that essay dochalos say that the mitzvah say of tzitzis overrides the Isser of shatnez. But if not for this juxtaposition, you would not be able to put tchelis on a linen garment because tchelis is made of wool, and wool and linen become shatnez. He would thus be able to fulfill the mitzvah properly only, again, if not for this connection to uschartem, only with a beggar that's not linen. So therefore, the juxtaposition teaches me that Esei Dochalosa said, and the mitzvah of tzitzis overrides the Easter of Kilayim, and now you can fulfill the mitzvah, Kol mitzvah, meaning the entire mitzvah, in the most perfect way, meaning in an all-inclusive way, even on a linen garment. And either we have another drasha from this Smichus HaParshios, Re'isa Osratus Kol Mitzvah Hashem, Kevin Shenischayev Other Mitzvahs Unischayev V'chol Mitzvahs Kulon. So once a person is chayev in the mitzvah of tzitzis, he becomes obligated in all the mitzvahs. So again, I think we're talking about daybreak here, as we said before. For Reb Shimon he diyomer mitzvah seishman gromehi, and Reb Shimon is of the opinion that at night you're not chayev in tzitzis because it says risam also. But comes daybreak, then you're chayev in tzitzis, and therefore Zchartem is called mitzvah Hashem. You chayev in all other mitzvahs that depend upon daybreak. Tanya, either another brayso Yisrael Zchartem is called mitzvah Hashem. Shkula mitzvah zu keneged mitzvahs kul kol mitzvahs kulon. The Torah considers the observance of this mitzvah to be so important. It's like equivalent to all the other mitzvahs. Tanya idach Yisrael Zchartem vasisem re'ia mevia lidei zechira zechira midei mevia lidei asiya. Right? You see the tzitzis. You remember the mitzvos, and then you come to Asiya to perform the mitzvah. Shimon Bar Yochai Omer, Kol HaZoris b'mitzvah zu zochem makabel pnei shechina. And now we get to a gadita about how significant is the mitzvah of tzitzis, that according to Shimon Bar Yochai, if you're careful about the mitzvah of tzitzis, you'll be zoche to greet the pnei ashchina, the countenance of the divine. Ksiv hacharisam also. So you see the word also appears in two different psukim. First, it appears in the context of tzitzis, and then it appears in the context of divine presence, right? Es Hashem Elokecha, whose divine presence, tira, you should fear or revere, and you should serve Hashem. And therefore, this means to tell you that when you fulfill the mitzvah tzitzis, you shall see Hashem. God surrounds us with mitzvos. Tefillin on their heads, tefillin on their arms, tzitzis on the four corners of their begadim. That's 2 plus 4 is 6. Umezuzah lepischayim, and therefore we have 7. David, and this is what David says in Tehillim, Sheva bayom hilal ticha mishpatei tzidkecha. And I believe this is in Kuf Yud Aleph. Let's see if I'm right. Yes, I mean Kuf Yud Tes. I say Kuf Yud Aleph. Kuf Yud Tes, right? That's the longest parak in Tanakh. That's what even in the secular schools here in Israel, they want to scare a kid. They say Kuf Yud Tes. As soon as they say Kuf Yud Tes, that's it. The kid starts listening to the discipline, because otherwise you're going to have to write over. Well, I don't know. Today, maybe you could do it by computer with AI. I don't know. Anyway. David went into the bathhouse. So he saw himself naked. I can't fulfill any mitzvahs. He's not even allowed to think Torah thoughts in a bathhouse. But he realized that he's gemalt. And therefore, it's Yashva Daito. So you see from here, the poskim will claim that the mitzvah of Mila is not just the mitzvah of Mila, but being mahul, in the state of being, that's also a mitzvah. Shira, and here David is going to now recite a song to praise to Hashem. Shminis means the 8th day of the birth. That's the day of Mila. Mizmar David. Al Mila Shenitna B'Shmini. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer, Kol sheyesh lo tefil b'rosh tefil b'zot tzitzis b'big the b'mitzvah zischo Hakol chizuk shelo yechta. He's surrounded completely on all sides by mitzvahs, and that will guarantee that he will not sin. Shenemar, as we see, I think it's in Mishlei. Let's see if I'm right. No, I'm wrong. It's not in Mishlei. It is the same author of Mishlei, but it's in Koheles. It was saying Koheles hachut hamshulash lo b'meheri yinotek. Right, you have a three-ply cord; it's not easily severed, and therefore v'yomer chonem malach Hashem tzvokos lireov l'chatzim, that the angel of Hashem encamps around this reverent person and rescues them from the Yetzer Hara, from the temptations of sin. Tanya, we learned in the Brayso Rabbi Meir Omer Manish Tana Tcheles we call minei tzivonim. Why did the Torah choose tcheles amongst all the different types of dyes that there are? And you have to, and the Torah exclusively says that you color your tzitzis with tcheles. And they should tcheles domeli yam domeli rekia domeli kisei hakavod. Shenemar v'tachas raglov kemaisa livnas asapir uke'etzem hashamayim letohar. There's a pasuk in Shmos, I believe. Let's see if I got it right this time. Oh, this time I got it right. And it says that under his feet was, his feet meaning the Almighty, was like a sapphire. Interesting, the word sapir in Lashon Kodesh is the same word in English, sapphire. And this reminds me of, the Tower of Babel, I'm talking about. Anyway, so this verse indicates that the sky is like sapphire. Uksiv kimare even sapir dmus kisei is written like the appearance of sapphire, of a sapphire stone, is like the likeness of the throne of Hashem, the glorious throne of Hashem. So you look at the tcheles, you remind yourself of the Yam reminds you of the skies, and the skies remind you of the throne of Hashem, which is all similar to sapphire. So when you see the thread of tcheles, you're reminded of the one who sits on the throne above. Tanya learned to the Brayso Reb Meir Omer Gadol Onshel Shel Lavan Yosef Onshel Shel Tcheles. If you're not careful about Lavan, you get more severely punished than if you're not careful about Tcheles. It's very difficult to procure Tcheles. It's not cheap, and it's not available at every store. It's mashal ma dover dom elamel pasav dom shamel shnei avoda liechan amar haveli chosum shel tit. It's very easy to find clay. Liechan amar haveli chosum shel zahav. Go find gold. Pashu shneim v'lo heviu. Both of them were negligent and they didn't bring. This one didn't bring clay, and this one didn't bring gold. Is Ezem and Onshel Maruba? Who's going to get the worst punishment? Have you Omer Zesh Amalo Chasom Shel Tit v'lo hevi? He could have easily found the seal of clay, and he didn't bring it. And if he violated the Isser with relatively, it would have been a cinch for him not to violate it, then he gets punished. But in the case of Tcheles is very rare, and the neglecting of Tcheles might be attributed to the fact that it was very hard for him to find Tcheles. Tanya, we learned to the Brayso, this is so interesting. The Gemara mentions Reb Meir with regard to Tcheles, and now we go off on a tangent for something else that Reb Meir had to say. Look at the word ma. And the word ma can be converted to the word mea, right? Because the aleph is not necessarily pronounced. So if you add the aleph, then you get 100 brachos. Now, Israel, 100 blessings to Hashem is what God is asking of you. Now, during the week, that's not a problem. You have so many brachos. Shmon Esrei alone almost carries you, 19 times 3, that's almost 60, right? But you're already more than halfway there. But on Shabbos, we only have 7 brachos and a lot of other brachos that are excluded on Shabbos. Therefore, how do you do this? How do you get to 100 on Shabbos? You got to smell a lot of besamim, and you got to eat a lot of fruits. And every time you take up a fruit, making a bracha, and then you make a bracha achrona. So you have to start cashing up on brachos. Rabbi Chia Breder of Avya b'Shabbos b'Yom Tavei Torach u'Maluhu if isparmake umagde. He would fill his quota of 100 blessings by making blessings over fragrant spices and delicacies. Tanya will enter by Reb Meir Omer Chayev Anul Varach Sholosh Brachos B'Chol Yom. The Eluheim Shasani Yisrael. We don't have such a bracha. We have Shalo Asani Nochri or Shalo Asani Goy. And number two, Shalo Asani Isha. Number three, Shalo Asani Bur. But the Gemara is going to reject that. We don't make a bracha Shalo Asani Bur. I didn't, you don't make me into an ignorant person. Rav Acha Bar Yaakov Shmei Shamei Libraid, he overheard his son, Davi Mevarch Shalo Asani Bur, and he said, Omer Le Kuli Hai Nami. Is it proper to recite such a bracha? A bur is chayiv in mitzvahs. So what are you making a bracha that you're not a bur? You know what bracha you should make is shalo asani ovet. That's an appropriate bracha. Because we want to get dargis of chayiv mitzvahs, and an evet is on the low level of chayiv mitzvahs. And bur doesn't make a darn bit of difference as far as chiv mitzvah is concerned. Frek Gemara, his son probably asked him, Hainu Isha, a slave has the same chiv mitzvah as an Isha, so why do you need a bracha shelo asani oved and another bracha shelo asani Isha? And the answer is there's a basic difference between an Eved and an Isha, and you're really climbing up the ladder over here. Zeal Tfei, Eved is zeal, right? An Eved cannot marry a Jewish woman, and he doesn't have yuchsin, and an eved is posel yedus, and an eved is mashikona eved kona rabo. He has no yad l'kinyonim. I mean, none of these halachas apply to an isha. And in fact, I'll end the shir today by telling you that my Rebbe Rav Soloveitchik used to say that an eved doesn't have the kedusha of a full-fledged Jew. That's why he needs another gerus at the time of shichur, whereas an isha has the full-fledged status of Kedushas Yisrael, just with a pote, a ptur, that Hashem decided that she's potter from certain mitzvahs, but she has the kedusha of those mitzvahs. And that's how he explained Rabbeinu Tam Shita that a woman makes a bracha even on mitzvahs that she's exempt from. Okay, then, so this will stop here on Membeis, Membeis Amid Aleph, of course, and